sixthreezero does in fact have electric bikes for sale. We currently have two models, but based on whenever you're watching this video at that time, check our e-bike category, maybe up on the menu above. We're going to have more models coming out through 2019 into 2020, but as it stands today, we do have electric bikes for sale. We have our around the block men's and women's in a 250 watt and a 500 watt. And we also have our Every Journey men's and women's in a 250 watt and a 500 watt. We've decided to start with those two models because those are two of our most popular, quote unquote, normal bikes. And we thought putting some motor on those would expand the possibilities for riders. And you can also buy them and not use the motor. So it's just another feature to add. And something great to have if you're going to, push your riding to new limits, longer distances, or higher speeds. So feel free to check out our electric bikes in our electric bike category. Electric bikes are growing exponentially year over year, and that has a lot to do with how a lot of people are starting to understand that electric bikes are actually the best form of transportation for mileage 5 miles or less, or even 10 miles or less. So there's been a lot of places that have popped up in the last few years to buy an electric bike. It really depends on what your needs are, what you're looking for to recommend the best place to find an electric bike. But I do have some general suggestions. I would say sixthreezero is definitely best for recreational lifestyle electric bikes and comfort-based electric bikes. So if you're looking for a tried and true comfort cruiser type electric bikes that still stays fairly simple, and it follows a very traditional design like comfort and cruiser bikes, sixthreezero would be a great choice. We have our Every Journey and Around the Block, which are focused mainly on comfort for the e-bike market. There's not a lot of other companies doing what we're doing in terms of how we are doing our electric bikes. If you're looking for a little bit more higher end, and some more like variety in the e-bike, there's a company called iZip. They're available on Amazon. They make electric bikes. They're going to be a little bit more expensive, but they have some variety into more performance-based bikes. There's also a company called Pedigo. They do compete in the electric bike segment as well. They offer a variety of comfort and cruiser bikes as well. Now their price points would be significantly more expensive than ours. Also with Pedigo, they have rental shops around the country. So if you're not too sold on an electric bike yet, you could pop in there, rent one for a few hours, check it out, see if it's something you like. You can start to understand the speed and the motors and things of that nature. Again, sixthreezero would be very comparable to Pedigo. So it would give you kind of a good compare and contrast of what our bikes would be like. I would say also, if you can, Google electric bike dealer. There aren't a lot of them in the country just yet. Certain cities have more popping up. I know Los Angeles does, New York does. You're going to start to see more and more, but you could Google electric bike shop, and you'll see stores now that are focused strictly on electric. Now, what I'll say about that is in store, you are going to find prices to be a lot more higher. To be higher, you're going to see labor charges for building the bike, things like that. So do your research online. If you're not scared to build it yourself, you can always get a better deal searching there versus buying in store. But I would recommend test riding before purchasing. Okay, so you want to buy an electric bike and you're searching on Craigslist. There's some couple of key things that I would look out for. Number one, I would really pay attention to or try to get information around the battery. And when I say the battery, I'm saying how many cycle charges the battery has been through. With lithium-ion batteries, they have a limited number of times they can be charged and drained. And it's different depending on each battery company. So if you're going to buy an electric bike used from someone, you want to really get a sense of how many times has this battery been charged and drained. Because if you buy that bike and it's towards the end of the battery life cycle, that alone could cost you $200, $300, $400 just to replace the battery. And also the fact that you're going to have to find a battery that would fit specific to whatever e-bike you've purchased. So you want to make sure if you buy an e-bike on Craigslist, number one, does the company that you're buying from offer replacement batteries? If you can't know exactly how many miles have been put on the bike, you definitely should know, where would I go to find a replacement battery? There are replacement batteries you can buy online that are generic. However, these days, a lot of electric bikes are featuring integrated batteries or proprietary battery sizes, just like an Apple computer or an iPhone, where you can't really buy generic batteries. You have to buy a battery specific to those products. Same is going to be true for some e-bike companies, not all. So you want to make sure the manufacturer of that product does in fact offer e-bike batteries. The other thing I would say is the same thing with the motor. You want to be clear that the motor, how many miles have been pulled on the motor, what kind of maintenance has been done, things like that. With an electric bike versus a normal bike, obviously the replacement costs are going to be much higher if something should give out. So it's way more important on an electric bike versus a non-electric to understand the wear and tear these components have gone through. The same is true of buying a normal bike on Craigslist. However, normal bike, the replacement costs of parts are going to be far less. And that would be something that you really don't want to jump into. You don't want to jump into having to replace a motor after owning the bike for 2 weeks. So I would probably recommend the same thing as when buying a car. If you know of a local bike shop and someone's selling a used e-bike shop, maybe you could pay the local bike shop $20-30 just to do a once-over on it. If you're about to invest, let's say $500 or more, maybe spending $20-30 for an inspection on the e-bike will give you some peace of mind to know you're making the right decision.